So I would
Yeah,
like to thank you all for joining us for this Earth Day edition of Electrify Your Ride. My name is Annika Osborne, and I'm with Cool the Earth. We're an environmental nonprofit with a mission to reduce carbon emissions and local air pollution. While we are big fans of walking, biking, public transit, and carpooling, preferably in an EV or an e-bike, with our Ride and Drive Clean collaboration, we work to advance the adoption of electric vehicles, both EVs and e-bikes, in a fair and just marketplace. I would like to thank the Transportation Authority of Marin for sponsoring this event today. Here's our agenda for the day. We're going to talk about the benefits of driving electric. We'll review EV incentives. We'll do a quick EV showcase, talk a little bit more about Ride and Drive Clean and what we do. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. We'll be going over lots of information, but not to worry. I'll be sending a PDF of this presentation in a follow-up email later today. And if any questions come up before the Q&A session at the end, feel free to ask them in the chat or just raise your hand using the symbol, or you can just unmute. We're pretty casual today, and it's not a very big crowd, so that's fine. Okay, so let's dive in. So there are many benefits to driving electric. In California, our passenger vehicles are the single largest source of GHG emissions, representing up to 50% of our individual carbon footprint. So when we switch from a gas car to an EV and plug into clean energy like we can do here in the Bay Area, we are taking very impactful climate action by reducing carbon emissions and air pollution, both which disproportionately impact our equity priority communities. And while driving electric is better for the planet, there's no sacrifice when we go electric. EV drivers save time, money, and enjoy an improved driving experience. While we're talking about EVs and e-bikes today, I just wanted to honor Earth Day and just say, there are many actions that we can all take. We believe in everybody taking lots of climate actions. Just today, I read a couple of articles. Reducing our meat consumption is really great. Working on, electrifying our transportation, electrifying our buildings, our homes, are all really great steps to take. And I know many people who come to these webinars are trying to do both, and just one thing at a time, and trying to, bring this, electrify our lives. So I just, wanted, Bill McKibben, who is a big climate activist, he writes for the New Yorker. He said that the most important thing to do is to gather together in our communities and work together on achieving our climate goals. So I just wanted to honor that today before I move on in my presentation, and thank you all for joining again. All right, back to EVs. With an EV, you can get access to the HOV lane as a single passenger with the special decal, and you'll never have to wait in line at a gas station again. So that decal that you get on your car is typically available for 3 years, and it's going to end, unfortunately, on September 30th this year. But there has been a bill proposed in the California Congress to extend it through 2026. But I hear that it may need some approval from the federal government, so I'm not super hopeful about that. But we can hope, fingers crossed on that one. For many people, it's convenient to charge at home or at work, while running errands also. And then EVs offer low maintenance and efficiency. So there aren't many maintenance appointments that you have to schedule and attend. And while there are 2,000 plus moving parts in a gas car, there are fewer than 20 in an EV. Maintenance for an EV is basically replacing windshield wiper fluid and replacing your tires or rotating your tires, which is something I do every 6,000 miles. And EVs are a little more fun to drive. What I really like is the extra torque or power that you get when you drive an EV. I can quickly accelerate when I'm getting on the freeway and then easily maneuver between lanes. You just kind of power up and glide into where you want to go. The quiet and smooth drive makes for great conversations when you're on a road trip. And with additional safety features and sensors in these high-tech cars, EVs are some of the safest cars available. Before I talk about the total cost of ownership, I'd like to address the current situation. So we believe that now is a really good time to get an EV for many reasons. The implementation of tariffs is causing a lot of uncertainty for auto manufacturers, which may impact future pricing and inventory of EVs. I read recently that car prices are expected to go up between $5,000 to $8,000 with the proposed tariffs. But that keeps going back and forth. There's just a lot of uncertainty about that. Then there's the EV tax credit, the federal tax credit for new and pre-owned EVs. This is currently available, and there is currently a bill in Congress that, if passed, will put an end to the federal tax credit for EVs. So this will impact the initial cost of purchasing certain EVs and leasing many EV models. So we are following the news closely. I just wanted to kind of address that. So although early EV drivers paid a high premium for electric cars, today's EV drivers often save money, and here are some reasons why. It costs much less to fuel an electric car. Fueling a gas car can be 2 to 5 times more expensive than fueling an EV, depending upon where and when you charge your EV. Electricity prices tend to be more stable than gas prices, as we've seen over the past few years. But I will just note that if you get your bill from PG&E, you have probably seen significant increases in your electricity prices. And I believe PG&E has increased the prices 5 or 6 times over the last year and a half. So that is something to consider. There are these great EV time of use rate plans that you can get on so that you pay much less for electricity during certain times of the day. So that's something to consider. We talk more in depth about that in our What to Expect as a New EV Driver webinar, but I'm happy to answer any questions about that as well. I just wanted to very informally, since it is Earth Day, just kind of reach out and ask you guys like why you're interested in going electric, whether it's an EV or an e-bike. If you want to unmute and share or put it in the chat, that would be great. I'll tell you what, I'll just kick it off by saying I used to be a teacher, a history teacher, and my students, anytime a topic came up about climate change or these issues we're having, my students were telling me, Miss Osborne, it's too late. We've already ruined the Earth. We're going to live on Mars. So I left my teaching job and started working 6 years ago for this organization, Cool the Earth, because I know that our board members are focused on the most impactful climate solutions, which currently is one of the big things is switching, we have to stop burning fossil fuels. And so switch from driving gas cars to EVs. So that's why I'm here today, really for the Earth. I've since learned, I didn't drive electric back then, but I've since learned that I love the efficiency and the fun factor of driving an EV. So those are the reasons I'm here. If you guys want to shout out or put something in the chat, helping the environment and reducing respiratory illness. Thank you so much. Yes, 100%, the local air pollution. We're doing a lot of work in our priority communities. We've been doing work in East San Jose, Pittsburgh, Richmond, the Canal District of San Rafael. And we have a big EV show up in Vallejo coming up this weekend. And these are some communities that are disadvantaged in terms of poor air quality. So we're really happy to be doing this work and helping everybody go electric. Nobody has to share, but if you want to share something, you can as well. I'll just give it like 15 seconds. And if nobody wants to share, that's okay too.
Hi, I'm Nita, and this is Rob, and we are conservation photographers. So and we've done a project that focused on wildflowers called Beauty and the Beast, California Wildflowers and Climate Change. And we actually have been driving, my vehicle is a 1995 Toyota Camry wagon. And it's probably on its last year. So that's why we're looking into going electric, to make that switch for the environment. And also with our solar, we could be powering it. And then we're also not supporting the oil companies.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you want to drop a link, if you have a link to your the work that you're doing with California Wildflowers, feel free to drop the link in the chat.
Okay,
to share with
thank you.
the community today. Yeah. Great, Sebastian. You got a Hyundai Ioniq 5 EV.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're enjoying it?
Yes, very much so.
Great. If anybody is interested in that car, feel free to ask Sebastian questions. I have only test driven it. I don't know as much about it as Sebastian does. And then I'm seeing somebody here for the environment, GHG reductions and other pollutants. Thank you so much. Okay, great. I will keep moving on here.
I have one quick question,
Yeah.
Which you might address, is the idea of the environmental cost on creating new cars versus keeping an old one like our 1995 going, and being very careful about where we drive and doing multi-errands and that type of thing.
That's yeah, absolutely.
It's always been a question for us.
Yeah, I can address that right now. I think that's a great question. I think being efficient with errands is a great way to reduce we just want to reduce our gas miles driven as much as possible. So walking, biking, taking public transit, carpooling when possible is always great. So what we've learned is there have been many studies that have come out about, does it make sense to hold on to your old gas car or to get a new EV. So I have two thoughts on that. The first one, maybe it seems a little darker, but like we are in an existential crisis, and the number one focus should be reducing GHG emissions because, I started doing this work 6 years ago, and we said we have 10 years to significantly reduce our emissions. So now we have about 5 years to significantly reduce our emissions. So that's, I guess, the one way of looking at it. And then we've looked at a lot of studies that show that after 1 year, so it does take a little more, there are emissions from building the EV, mostly the battery. And they say that after the 1 year or after you've driven for 12,000 miles, then you're at the break-even point. And then if you're plugging in during the EV time of use rates, when electricity is the cleanest, and we really say like when the sun is shining, especially if you have solar, when the sun is shining, if you can charge your EV, then your emissions are very low with an EV.
Okay, well, that's great to know. The other quick question is the idea of replacing batteries rather than replacing an electric vehicle after.
Yeah, they're
lost their efficiency.
We aren't really talking about replacing batteries. I mean, batteries are the most expensive part of EVs, but what we're seeing, this time around, they've only been around since like 2011 or so. So we don't have super longitudinal studies, but we're expecting that the EVs that are coming out are going to last for 15 to 20 years. And the batteries will have some reductions, some battery degradation, but they say after 8 to 10 years, you should have 80 to 85% of the original range that your car has. So from a dated, and most EVs have 200 to 300 miles of range or more, some of them even. So if you have 80% of that, that won't really impact your day-to-day driving. It's really like if you use your EV for a road trip, you may have to stop and charge one extra time or something. So yeah, so we're really not talking about replacing the battery. It's expensive to replace the battery. And we just think these batteries are going to be in the cars for a long time. And kind of an interesting anecdote, like I have this one guy who often comes to my webinars. He had a 2011 Nissan Leaf. And when he bought it, it only had 85 miles of range. And now it had 40 miles of range. And he said he still uses it. He uses it all the time for his round the town errands. And then he has a different car that he uses for a longer range drives. You would never want to take a low range car like that on a road trip. But, it's great. So he's doing most of his driving in that 2011 EV with very few miles. We also have two EVs. We have one that's a long range EV that we use for road trips. And then we have a Volkswagen e-Golf with only 80 miles of range. That's the one we use for our round the town driving. And it's fun and peppy and easy. And we just plug it into the standard outlet and, trickle charge. We replenish like 40 miles in 8 hours or so. And that's all we really need. So yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good, interesting, broader questions. I appreciate those. Okay, so we're going to dive into the incentives a bit. So there are currently various types of incentives that can save you money when you buy or lease certain EVs. So the federal tax credit or the clean vehicle credit is available as a rebate at point of sale, and you no longer need tax liability for this rebate. So you will work with a dealer that is signed up with the IRS. You need to make sure they are signed up with the IRS. And they will take that $7,500 off of a new EV or $4,000 off of a pre-owned EV at the point of sale. So you don't have to wait until you file your taxes. This is eligible. So there are some income caps for both of these, and I'll go over those on future slides. But you can use this year's tax return or the prior year's tax return to make sure that your income matches. So there are some requirements when you purchase or finance, and many of these new EVs do qualify for $7,500 tax rebate. I will show you a list of all the ones that qualify. There's a pre-owned EV rebate for up to $4,000. Again, you want to make sure the dealership is signed up with the IRS. So be sure to verify that so that they can give you that upfront rebate. It's kind of like a down payment in a way. But when you lease an EV, there is a different kind of credit. It's called a commercial credit, and there are no restrictions at all, meaning there is no income cap, there are no battery restrictions. So basically, most EVs, when you lease them, there are some really great lease deals. So a lot of people tend to lease EVs anyway because of the new technology that's changing so quickly. So it is something to consider. I know many people only purchase or finance their cars. Some only buy used cars, and then leasing is new to a lot of people, but there are really great deals and there are no restrictions. So many people can save money. Some people even lease an EV. Gosh, in the past few months, there were some amazing lease deals, like $25,000 off of a Honda Prologue, or even off of the Hyundai Ioniq 5, like $20,000 off if you lease it. So people lease those cars and then they buy out their lease because they're getting such a good discount upfront. But you do have to study the residual value of the car if you do that, and ask a lot of questions if you plan to do that. Okay, those are the federal tax credits that are available. There are state grants available for residents with lower incomes. Clean Cars for All is a retire and replace program. You need to retire a 2009 or older gas car that's in working condition, and then you could get up to $12,000 grant that comes in the mail to you. This car, however, is now on a wait list, and we've heard from the Air District, which runs this grant, that there is no talk of renewing it yet. So instead, we have a new program that just came out in March called the Drive Clean Assistance Program. With this program, you don't have to retire and replace a car. It's a lower income grant. So if you qualify for this grant, you apply for it in advance and you can get a grant for $7,500 and a $2,000 in assistance for getting a charging station. Or they might even give you a charging card if you can't install a charger where you live. There are also these local incentives. So depending upon where you live and who provides your electricity, there may be additional incentives through your utility or CCA. So PG&E has a pre-owned EV rebate, and it's $1,000 for anybody who gets their bill from PG&E. You apply for this after you get your bill within 120 days, I believe, after you get your EV, and based on your income, you may qualify for the Instant Rebate Plus for $4,000. Then there are other CCA rebates. So if you live in the Bay Area and you get your bills from PG&E, you may also have an alternative electricity provider, or a CCA. And some examples are MCE, PCE, San Jose Clean Energy, Silicon Valley Clean Energy. They have certain rebates. Some of them, between $2,000 and $3,500 off an EV if you qualify. These are typically lower income rebates as well. Some municipal utilities also have incentives. The best way to find out exactly what you qualify for is to use a savings calculator like this one listed here, driveclean.california.gov. You'll put in your zip code, your household income, how many people live in your household, and it'll give you which incentives you qualify for. A little more information about the clean vehicle, the federal tax credit for a new EV. It's either $3,750 or $7,500, but currently all of the cars that are eligible are eligible for a $7,500 tax credit. Again, it's a point of sale rebate at the dealership, so you don't have to wait until you file your taxes. And because we're a little unsure, you can wait until you file your taxes. But because we're a little unsure of what's happening right now in the government, we suggest that you get that as soon as you can. Get that money as soon as you can. Again, no tax liability required. These are the income caps. And I know this is a federal, tax credit, and the prices are higher in the Bay Area and some metropolitan areas, but these are the income caps for the whole nation. So it's a little trickier to qualify in the Bay Area, but many people still do. Only certain EVs qualify because there are many requirements. Their link below will show you exactly which ones qualify. The final assembly has to be in the USA. There are battery requirements. The dealer must be registered with the IRS, and the owner can't be claimed as a dependent. These are the cars that currently qualify for the federal tax credit. I'll just leave this up for 30 seconds or so. And again, you will receive a PDF of this presentation, so you'll have a chance to take a look at these. Some of the more popular EVs, I don't really favor any EVs. We're a nonprofit, so we are not promoting any particular EVs, but I know like the Chevy Blazer is a really great deal. I mean, there are some really great lease deals on the Chevy Blazer. We just had an EV event over in Palo Alto last week. Even though the Chevy Equinox has a lower starting MSRP, they even had better lease deals on the Blazer, which is a higher end, more comfortable EV, I would say. The Honda Prologue is super popular right now. It's one of the most popular EVs. The Kia EV6 and EV9 are super popular. Teslas make up, more than half of EV purchases, so we know they've been popular. Okay, so this is the clean vehicle credit for pre-owned EVs. It's 30% of the sale price up to $4,000 maximum. Again, it's also point of sale rebate at the dealership. So you can't get a used EV through Craigslist or something like that and get this credit. It has to be through a qualified dealership. And if you are in the situation where you want to get a pre-owned car from Craigslist, I can recommend a dealership that works only with EVs. You pay a little bit of money for them to sort of process it for you. But as a result, you'll get some great incentives. So it's probably might be worth your while. $25,000 vehicle price cap. There are many EVs on the used market out there for less than $25,000. So this year it has to be a model year 2023 or older to qualify. Yeah. So with so many EVs out there, the question really is which one to get. There is truly an EV for every lifestyle and budget now. Most fully electric EVs offer 200 to 300 miles of range, and some will go even farther on one charge. That means you can get from San Francisco to Tahoe with just a 15-minute charging break. And with some EVs, you don't have to stop at all. Because EVs have regenerative braking, when you're heading home for Tahoe because you're decelerating, you may not have to stop at all. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so yeah, we work with a partner of ours. It's a car concierge service called Cartelligent. They've been telling us there are some really great deals on the following EVs. These are lease deals, 2024 models. There are a few left, so there are great lease deals on these EVs. Something to consider if you're interested in those. Yeah, so we often do EV discount campaigns with Cartelligent. We had a couple earlier this year. Right now, we're sort of trying to feel the waters and see how these tariffs settle before we're able to offer another discount campaign for new EVs. But it's always great to work with Cartelligent and mention that Ride and Drive Clean sent you, and you'll get a discount on their service fee. All right, so I'm going to do an EV showcase with some popular EVs that have been around for a while, some that just came out in 2025, some that we'll be seeing here in the future. The prices listed are the base MSRP, and I've starred the ones that qualify for the federal tax credit. So the Equinox is a compact SUV that combines SUV capabilities, modern technology, and everyday features. It's quite cost effective. The Nissan Leaf is another car that's been around for a really long time. And again, it's really popular. It's a great commuting car, nice to park also because it's pretty small. I guess I should just address this NACS adapter that we have written under the Chevy Equinox EV. So, one of the barriers to getting an EV for many people is charging. So using public, many people can charge at home, which is very easy for most people. And if not, people are relying on public charging. And if we like to take our EV on a road trip, we're definitely relying on public charging. So there is something called we now have the North American Charging Standard, and that is actually this Tesla charging system. So last year, I believe every single EV manufacturer has agreed that they're going to provide adapters for the North American Charging Standard so that people can use the Tesla supercharging stations. So far, many have, but not all of them have yet, but this should be coming. So they're offering these adapters so that you can use the Tesla supercharging network, which is vast and reliable. So I've kind of noted the ones that are approved to use this Tesla supercharging stations. Every manufacturer has also said that in the future, and they've talked about even in 2025, they're going to put in the NACS charging port, so you don't need an adapter. So you can just pull up at the Tesla supercharging station and use those chargers with the Tesla app. Okay. Moving on, these are some cars that came out in 2021. So they've been around the block for sure. Very popular cars, efficient cars. The ID4 is the first that came from the Volkswagen ID brand. There are many more coming. People love the Ford Mustang Mach-E. That is what I just read an article last night. That is like the third most popular EV right now, most commonly purchased EV currently. So interesting. The Volkswagen ID4 is up there as well. The Hyundai Kona is a very efficient EV, affordable for sure. Here are some good value EVs that also have bidirectional charging and fast charging. So these are like the second edition cars that came out of Kia and Hyundai. So these were built to be electric cars. And so bidirectional charging means that if there's a power outage, there are two good uses for these cars. If there's a power outage, you can put in an extension cord and power up your refrigerator. so you don't lose all your groceries. So that's really cool. You can power up large appliances with the EV battery for a week if there's a power outage. So really nice resiliency measure. It requires an adapter that I think costs about $150 to do this. We demonstrate this at our EV shows. We pop popcorn off of the battery of the EV, or we show our induction cooktop and our cooler. So the second use case is if you're a camper. If you like to go camping, you can go camping without your Coleman cooking stove. You can just power up everything off of the battery of your EV. So you just bring a power strip, plug in your electric kettle, your induction cooktop. You can get a cheap one for like 25 bucks. Plug it in, an electric cooler, and you're good to go. So interesting cars, very affordable for all of the great features that they offer and the really fast charging. Yeah, these Kias and Hyundais have been very popular in the last few years. They came out about 2 years ago. And if you have questions about that Hyundai Ioniq 5, Sebastian is your man. Okay, with Tesla, we like to focus on the technology. People love Teslas for their fast, easy, and reliable charging. The Model 3 and the Model Y are the most affordable models, and several trims qualify for the federal tax credit. These are efficient, safe cars, and the Model Y has an optional third row and seats 7 passengers, albeit 2 small people in the back, I believe. So the new the Honda Prologue, I said, I think it's like one of the most popular cars right now. I read a month ago, like 61,000 models, cars have been sold since the spring when they came out about a year ago. The Polestar 2 has been super popular. It's an elegant car, available on the used market now for $25,000 or less. So if you qualify for that federal tax credit, that's an option. The Audi Q4 e-tron is a really nice option. It's about $20,000 less than the regular e-tron. And the Chevy Blazer I mentioned, it has a higher starting MSRP than the Equinox. It's a higher end car, but the lease deals are really incredible on these right now. So yeah, a couple of these have the NACS adapter, so you'll be able to charge at the Tesla supercharging stations. These next 3 cars came out in the Volvo has a bunch of cars. So these are their 2 cars that came out about 3 years ago. There's another one that's coming up on a future slide here that just came out this year. The Cadillac Lyriq is a really nice car. Cadillac has a couple of options out right now, so it's good to know. Here are some higher end EVs, but again, I don't want you to get scared away by the starting MSRP. I've heard of some great lease deals on Lucids. I test drove one a while ago. It's a really fun car to drive. So yeah, look into great, lease deals. That Wagoneer that just came out this year qualifies for the federal tax credit. I see there are some questions in the chat or some comments, and I'll get back to that momentarily. I'm just going to finish these the EV showcase, and then I'll look at those questions. If finding a parking spot is often on your mind, one of these smaller EVs should be on your radar. When I go to San Francisco, I wish I had one of these cars because there seem to be a bunch of parking spots that are like 2/3 of a parking spot, and my car doesn't fit there, but these cars certainly do. The 2025 Mini Cooper EV comes with significantly more range than the current model. That will be coming out a little later this year. The Fiat F500e was popular for many years. It is very cute. It is now making a comeback with more range. It's available now. And the Volvo EX30 just came out earlier this year. Volvo says it is small in size and big on safety. Some of these cars with lower range, like the Fiat and the Mini Cooper, not great for road trips, but definitely awesome for commuting and around the town, driving. And if you're looking for a car with 3 rows of seats, there are many options. The Kia EV9 came out as the car of the year in 2024. They're doing some piloting with Wallbox, which is a home in charging like inverter system. So they're piloting the concept of on a daily basis coming home, plugging in, and pulling electricity out of the battery of the car between 4 and 9 p.m. when electricity prices are high and electricity isn't so clean, and then charging the car during the time of use times. So that's a really great, interesting resiliency measure. You probably don't need to get, home battery storage if you have this type of solution. Other manufacturers are moving in this direction, but it's a little slower. We've been hearing about this for years, but it's like hasn't come to market quite yet. Many of us who work for Cool the Earth and our board members are kind of waiting to just pull electricity out of our EV batteries. We haven't bought power walls yet or anything. So we'll see how that progresses. But this is one that's interesting for that particular feature. Yeah, the Mercedes has a great price point. Yeah, so the Rivian has the R1S SUV and the R1T truck. They are marketing themselves as the adventure company. So very popular EVs, all electric company. They're installing a lot of Rivian fast charging stations in far to reach places like national parks, in all sorts of different places. So people feel like they can take these cars on their adventures. VinFast is a Vietnamese car, which is kind of new in the United States. I was recently in Vietnam and I saw a lot of VinFasts, and they're very excited that they have these export cars to the United States. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for this car, so it gets its own slide. It has promised to come out with, Volkswagen has promised to come out with a new EV every year for the next several years, so we're looking to see those. I just have a little dream of like driving up and down the California coast with this car and, bringing my little coffee maker with me and sitting close to the beach and just enjoying the views, all electric. It comes in several bright, fun colors, and we'll be featuring them at our upcoming EV shows. So these trucks are already here. Even the Ram truck, Ram has an EV truck now. So these trucks are basically generators at home and batteries on wheels on the road. So for people who work in the trades, they can power up their tools with the outlets in these trucks, just taking the electricity from the battery. And at home, they can power up their homes. Yeah, the regular F-150 truck is the most popular car in the United States and has been for decades. So we are seeing the Lightning models picking up steam. They were one of the top 10 cars in EV sales that I just read that article the other day. The Silverado EV pickup truck has a foldable rear bulkhead, which can extend the bed length to over 9 feet. It also has some advanced towing technology and up to 11 outlets. Rivian again, it's marketing, as an adventure company. In 2026, Rivian is due to release their R2T and R2S, which will be smaller and significantly more affordable. And over 1 million people have ordered the Tesla Cybertruck. I have just one slide here on plug-in hybrids, or PHEVs as we call them. If you're in the market for a larger plug-in hybrid, here are some great options. I know that Toyota RAV4 Prime has been very popular. What we look at is the electric range. So we're looking for a high electric range on these cars. That's the best. I have 2 friends who drive that car, and they rarely go to the gas station because they plug it in all the time and they just replenish what they use daily. But if they take that car on a road trip, they will just use gas for the road trip, and then when they arrive at their destination, plug in again. The one, I mentioned earlier that with EVs, maintenance is a lot more affordable for EVs than regular cars because there aren't so many moving parts, not so much that can go wrong. With plug-in hybrids, that's the only downside because they have 2 systems, the battery and the gas tank. You do have to do smog checks and, have more regular maintenance visits. We call PHEVs the gateway car for some people. So I want to address some pre-owned EVs and give you an idea of some pricing. So I'm just going to kind of showcase these because we've already talked about many of these. We did not talk about the Chevy Bolt, which you've all seen around. It's been a very popular car. Came out in 2017 as an affordable long-range EV, which was great because back then in 2017, EVs were really expensive. Um, they're taking a break in 2024 and 2025. They'll be back in 2026 with the Chevy Bolt EUV. They'll be using the new Ultium battery, which is great because I will note that the Chevy Bolts from the 2017 to 2023 year models, a little slower fast charging. They actually don't all have fast charging capabilities, but the ones that do, it was like an extra add-on. And the ones that do, it's like 45 minutes to charge if you're on a road trip versus 20 minutes in some newer EVs. So that's just the downside of a used Chevy Bolt. The upside, though, is that there was a recall on this car, and they had to replace the whole battery pack on the Chevy Bolts. So all of the Chevy Bolts that are on the used market have a new battery pack, which means a new warranty on the battery for 8 years or 100,000 miles. Good to know, affordable, easy to park. Here are a couple more. These are a little more high-end. Some pre-owned plug-in hybrids. Pricing. It used to be that plug-in hybrids were a lot more affordable than EVs, but since battery prices have come down, that's no longer the case. Now, fully electric EVs are similar in price, and some of them are even more affordable. Just a couple more, just to give you an idea. Oh yeah, I'll just mention, we work with an EV, a used EV company called eMotion Autos. They deal strictly with EVs. I've gotten 2 used EVs through them. They are really wonderful guys, and they're retired, and they opened this used dealership during their retirement time. They met at Stanford getting their PhDs and doing research, and they want to dedicate their retirement to helping ordinary people drive electric. So they're wonderful. They go out to auction to find exactly the used EV that you are looking for. We shall not forget e-bikes. If you're not in the market for an EV, an e-bike might be just right for you. So instead of hopping in a gas car, you can try commuting or running errands on an e-bike. E-bikes are fast and fun. There are so many different types and models to choose from cargo to commuter to recreational bikes. You do want to ensure that you select an e-bike that's equipped with international or UL certified high quality batteries. And if you have to replace the batteries on an e-bike, you'll want to replace them with the same UL certified batteries, and order them from the manufacturer's website. Okay, before I move on to the next part of our webinar, I'm just going to see a couple of questions here or comments maybe. Let's see. Contacting electric providers and level 2 charging providers. I've been asking if I have a battery backup system with my solar array. Yes, I'm going to take your question, Sebastian, here. There is an advantage to having a battery backup. I mean, just for resiliency, it's a good idea. If if we lose power for a really long time, then it's useful. And also, if you have a battery, you can set it so that every day you are using electricity from your battery. So if you have solar and a battery, you're charging your battery every day, and then you can set it to use, to hook it up to the outlets that you're using most often between 4 and 9 p.m. so that your electricity is clean and affordable during that time. So does that make sense? That there is an advantage to that for sure. From what I've heard, maybe some of you know this better than I do. Like when I got solar about 4 years ago, I was on the NEM2 system, which if I sell back electricity, I'm getting more money from the utility. If I've heard that if you add a battery backup to your current solar array, you automatically get pushed to NEM 3. I don't know how much that even matters because you're going to be using all that solar electricity anyway. So to power your home and your EV, so maybe that doesn't matter so much. I don't know if anybody has any insights who's on this call. Replace your compact Ionic 5, any good Cartelligent deals? Well, I would always look at Cartelligent. They won't tell me like what the deals are because it depends on every person specifically because of their credit and all that. But they do have a service fee. So if you tell them exactly what you're looking for, they'll go out, you pay a service fee of $495 because you get a discount because you're coming from Ride and Drive Clean. They will go out and find the cars for you. Because they work with multiple dealerships, they are often able to find better deals than if you are negotiating yourself at the dealership level. And then they'll come back with options for you, like, oh, we found this gray one, we found this one, and this one with this trim level and this and this. And if you want to buy one, great, you move forward. If you decide not to work with Cartelligent, they will refund you their service fee of $495. So it's kind of a no risk situation. I would always check out the pricing from Cartelligent. I have many friends who went themselves to dealers thinking that they are great negotiators. I think we all kind of think we're really good at this. We're not going to be, like nobody's going to pull one over on us. And both of my friends ended up with Cartelligent with significant savings, like $70 less a month, for example, one of my friends. So definitely worthwhile. And the car buying experience is delightful. They do all the work for you. You basically pull up in one of their convenient locations in Menlo Park, Walnut Creek, or Sausalito. You sign the paperwork there. They give you a little tour of the car and off you go. Super easy. You don't have to be dealing yourself with the negotiation, which we all know can be a little unpleasant. Okay. Thanks, Sebastian. Definitely do your research on that. I'm not an expert on leasing, so make sure you ask the right questions. If you're planning to lease, especially if you plan to lease and then buy out your lease, make sure you're really clear on what that residual value is when it's time to come and buy that car at the end or whenever you choose to. Yeah, the Hyundai EVs don't qualify for the rebate if you purchase or finance. They did for a minute on the website by the IRS, but then it was gone. So I use the IRS website as a source of information. And yeah, the Kia appeared, but the Hyundai was gone for some reason. But they still get the commercial credit, which is why you got a great lease deal. So they can pass on that commercial credit to you. Oh, you went through Costco. Great. Awesome. Great. So Costco, yeah. So if you work with Cartelligent also, they also honor the Costco rebates. So if you qualify if you are a Costco member, you can use Cartelligent. If you go through if you go through a different dealership, that's fine too. We're happy that however you get your EV, we're pleased. Yeah, it does come with the Tesla port, and I do want to address that a little bit. I just ran into a woman at the Tesla supercharging station the other day. The port is on the wrong side. So when you pull up to the Tesla supercharging station, you would have to take up 2 spaces to charge the car. And it's really quite astonishing that that happened. I know that Tesla is saying that they're going to install some longer cables at some of their supercharging stations, but currently it's challenging. And the woman who I ran into said, I can come later at night. It was at a Whole Foods parking lot. She was there in the middle of the day and all the spots were taken. So she said she couldn't really charge. And, people will get mad if you take 2 spots. But if she came like after the shopping hours or something, she could do it. And on a road trip, oftentimes, like I drive to LA a lot. Sometimes there are 50 to 100 Tesla charging ports at these massive charging stations. So in that case, there's always going to be space available. Have you tried it, Sebastian? Have you gone to a Tesla supercharging station? It's standard. So it's standard with the 2025 model. And there will be an adapter available for earlier models. I don't, Sebastian. I think the bidirectional device, I think you can get it through the dealership. That's probably what I would do. I think there are some third-party options as well. What does trim mean? Good question. I'm not a car person really myself. This is like all new to me. I used to teach ancient civilizations. So trim is like what types of features you want. You know, sometimes there's like an SEL or an EX model. Maybe some of you are more car people than I am, and you could explain, but yeah. Sort of there are oftentimes like three levels. Like there's like the standard level, the basic level, and then more features like leather seats and safety features and such, you know, in the upgrades, different trims. Yeah. Well, so Doug, I'm addressing your question, which EV model has the feature to power a house? The Kia EV9 is doing a pilot now. So that's a big one. It has 3 rows of seats, might be worth talking to somebody at Kia. And if you're interested, reach out to me because I know a company that's working on this pilot. I didn't know. Yeah, there's a plug-in hybrid Toyota RAV4 Prime. It's a very popular car, right? The Cartelligent locations are Walnut Creek, Sausalito, and Menlo Park, and Irvine if you're in Southern California. I will drop some links in the chat at the end after I stop sharing the slides. Port on the right side, they probably didn't want to. Yeah, exactly. That's the deal, Sebastian. They wanted to put in the port, and I think it would have taken a lot of time to re-engineer the car, but it's a little bit of a miss, I think. It's frustrating, I feel like. But you may be able to use it much of the time. Just don't go to a crowded supercharging station during the most crowded times. Some of these supercharging stations also have time of use rates. So there are certain times that it's cheaper to charge your EV using the public charging stations. Okay. I just want to say, I think we're close to the end here. Keep asking your questions. I want to honor your time, and I know some people will have to hop off at 1:00, but keep putting questions in the chat. I'm going to go through some charging basics, and then we'll do some Q&A at the end. We'll stay longer, however long people have questions. So we're doing a big, charging overview now. People get worried about charging, but for most people, 80 to 90% of charging is done at home. Charging at work, and charging at home or work is easy. At home, you just plug in the charger that comes with your vehicle into the standard 120-volt outlet. There are no install costs besides perhaps a heavy-duty, grounded, highly rated extension cord. And it gives you 30 to 40 miles of charge in 8 hours. In the Bay Area, on average, people drive 25 miles a day. And so this simple solution called Level 1 works out great for most people. Peninsula Clean Energy did a study of all of the residents in their service area and found that 94% of people in the Peninsula Clean Energy service area would be fine just with Level 1 charging. If you drive more than 40 miles a day, a good option is to see if you can charge at work. Then you can use your work for charging and your home. You could do Level 1. It's a nice combination. If not, you may want to purchase a home charging station for Level 2 charging. Or I shouldn't say purchase a home charging station. It's more you would consider Level 2 charging. And really what that means is you would wire a 240-volt outlet close to where you're going to park it. And then in that scenario, you can also then buy a charging station. You could buy that at a big box store or even online, and you just plug it into the 240 volts outlet. So really that's what you're doing. Many EVs come with an adapter though. So it used to be that every EV came with a charging cable. That's no longer the case. It's often now a buy-on. I know with Teslas, you have to pay like $250 and you get a charging kit so that you can charge at home. The same with Hyundai Ioniq, I believe. Sebastian, is that the case? You had to pay for a charging cable?
No, it came with the car.
Really?
Well, 120 volt.
The 120 volts. Okay. So some of them come with 120 volt. Some of them come with 120 volt and a 240 volt adapter. So you could kind of take off the 120, put on the 240, and then you can just plug that into the outlet.
My neighbor just bought a Nissan with that charging.
Oh, okay. Using the adapter.
With the power
Yeah.
charging device.
Yes. Okay. So I do know like Polestar and Honda Prologue have that adapter, and Teslas do as well. So the first step for level 1 and level 2, we would just recommend that you consult with an electrician. Even for level 1, you just want to make sure you're not like overburdening the circuit that it's tied to. So just sometimes an electrician can just look at a photo of your electric panel and give you the go ahead, So there are many level 2 public charging stations available. Many of these are charge point stations, or there's been like Shell Recharge, which is now going away. There are many level 2 chargers that you'll see around. Like for example, when I go to my local farmer's market, I plug into the charge point for an hour and I pick up 25 miles in the hour, and it costs me $1. And I do that calculation, and I think if I were there for 4 hours, it would cost me $4 to get 100 miles of driving range. That's pretty affordable. It'd be like $20 for gas, depending upon gas prices that day, but on average. When you're on a road trip, you want to charge using level 3 fast charging. And there are 3 different standards available. The one on the left is really only used for the Nissan Leaf currently. So it's called CHAdeMO. There are some fast charging stations around. Like oftentimes, if you go to Electrify America or something, there will be one available with the CHAdeMO. The one in the middle is the CCS charging standard. That's been the traditional one for most EVs. And then the one on the right is the Tesla standard. That's the one that is now we're calling the North American Charging Standard, or NACS. So as we talked about already, every EV will be able to use the NACS charging system in the near future. I think they're just working out deals. Everyone is working out deals with Tesla on how to make that work. The interface that you would use is to access that is your cell phone and the Tesla app. Okay, so once you start driving electric, it's ideal to charge your EV from rooftop solar. There's a federal tax credit available. Now, I used to say for the next 8 years, I just don't know. We have no guarantees. It's 30% of the cost of installing your solar system. And that includes storage as well, so battery as well. It's a great feeling to charge your car from the electricity that you generate from your own roof, and for more resilience, you may consider the battery for storage. If you're not ready for solar, utilities and CCAs have clean energy options as well as special reduced EV or time of use rates, so you pay less for electricity during certain times of the day. If you receive your bill from PG&E, that special EV rate plan is from midnight to 3 p.m. So most of the time it's available. It's just you don't want to charge your EV from 3 p.m. to midnight. And really 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. on that rate is very expensive, twice as expensive as doing it off peak. So it's good to think about. But if you do choose that rate, that goes for all of your electricity. So it works for my family because I can delay my dishwasher to go at midnight or run it in the morning. I can do my laundry during the day because I work from home, that sort of thing, trying to use as much electricity during the day and avoid electricity from 4 to 9 p.m. particularly. I've listed here all of the small Bay Area municipal utilities as well as the CCAs, which are clean energy alternatives. With CCAs, you still get your bill from PG&E, and PG&E delivers the electricity and your gas. But these CCAs are nonprofits with missions to reduce carbon emissions. So they procure clean, renewable electricity. So we really recommend that you make sure you're getting your electricity from one of these CCAs, which is focused on cleaner energy. A little bit about charging on the road. Taking a road trip is getting simpler all the time. There are thousands of public charging sites that provide fast charging. Using apps like PlugShare and a better route planner, you can map out your trips before you go and use the app along the way. These are the most popular charging networks: Electrify America, EVgo, Tesla, and ChargePoint. So it's a good idea to download all of these apps sometimes, and you connect your credit card to them, because you don't want to be on a road trip and arrive on a hot sunny day, charge and plug in and charge, but you don't have it set up on your phone. It just gives you more options. Sometimes when you buy an EV, you'll get a special bonus like 2 years of free charging with EVgo or Electrify America. If that's the case, definitely download that app and try to search for those charging stations along the way. Some hotels now also offer charging, and even if you go to stay at a Vrbo or an Airbnb, I always bring my charging cable with me and an extension cord, and I'll ask the property owner if I can charge while I'm there. They've always said yes, so that hasn't been a problem. Before I move on, I'm just going to see if there are any questions here. Yes, a Tesla can charge at a non-Tesla charger. There's an adapter that you can use. Yeah. So for level 2, there's an adapter that you use. And then for level 3, there's a different adapter that you can use. Because we've had some studies done about reliability of charging stations, what we find is that Tesla is like 99% on reliability. They tend to come and fix their chargers when they're broken, while some of the other charging stations have a 75% reliability rate. So I don't really see a great use case of using these other chargers. I mean, if you are I guess some people, yeah, I guess, I guess if you have one of those chargers close to where you live or close to where you work, if you have an individual need, I can understand that. Would backing up to the Tesla charger? No. So both of them, I actually took a picture of this woman who was trying to charge her Ioniq 5. Yeah, both of them have the charging port in the back side of the car, but just on different sides, unfortunately. Vandalism of charging locations, yeah, that's definitely an issue in some places. Again, what we've seen is that Tesla quickly repairs their charging stations. I've been charging there many times, and you see repair people there constantly. I've had struggles. I did a test for 6 months. I live in Marin County. I tested all of the fast charging stations in Marin County every month for 6 months. And some of them were broken the entire 6 months, even though I put in requests to fix them. So that's why every single EV manufacturer wants to buy into the North American charging standard, because of the reliability of the charging networks. Okay, I'm going to move on. Again, I want to thank everybody so much for coming. Happy Earth Day. And I'm going to keep going. So there are several EV charging solutions for people who live in multifamily buildings. More solutions are on their way. People charge by plugging into a standard 120-volt outlet, if that's available and allowed in a carport or something like that. There are new smart outlets that are inexpensive solutions to charging that also handle billing. People charge at work. People charge at public fast charging stations. And yeah, it takes like 20 to 40 minutes to charge your EV at a public fast charging station. Oftentimes they're located in shopping centers, which makes it a convenient thing. I have had to sometimes move my car, though, when I'm in the middle of a shopping session and I'm getting an alert that my car is done charging, and I'm going to start getting fined because my car is still parked in the charging station. I've had to abandon my cart for a few minutes and move my car and go back to shopping. Yes. So a little more about who we are and what we do. We're really here to we do EV and e-bike outreach and education to help you go electric. We offer EV campaigns that help you save money on new and used EVs. We do these 3 to 4 times a year. We are hoping to launch an EV discount campaign a pre-owned campaign next week. We're working with our partners Emotion Today to finalize the plans on that. We have EV and e-bike expos where you can talk to EV owners. You can view a variety of EVs and e-bikes. Yeah, we had a nice show over in Palo Alto. We have one coming up on May 4th in San Anselmo. We'll have a couple of EVs up in Vallejo at the Earth Days event this Saturday, another in Novato on May 31st. They're all up on our events page. And then we have these ongoing webinars. We'll have another one next Monday. Often we see that before people buy EVs, they come to a couple of our webinars or shows. It's a big switch and people want to be able to ask questions and make sure they find the right EV for their lifestyle. So yeah, when you sign up for our events, you also get our newsletters. You can definitely unsubscribe if you don't want to get them, but we, let you know when we have campaigns going on and the latest news and such. So I'd like to thank you all for attending this program today, wherever you are in your journey to an EV. I hope it was helpful. I'd like to thank the Transportation Authority of Marin for sponsoring this event. If you can make the switch to driving electric now, we're here to help. The sooner the better. If you're not ready now, can we have your support by pledging to make your next car electric? Our biggest ask really is please don't buy a new gas car. It will be on this earth emitting carbon and air pollution for 12 to 15 years, and we have to stop burning fossil fuels as quickly as possible. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. Yeah, stay in touch. Let me know how it goes in your journey to electric, and if you have any questions, happy to support you.